Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Fan Perspective. I am your host, Nathan Lyle. It is Monday, which of course means another episode of NBA Weekly. And after yet another week of NBA action, here's what stood out to me. First and foremost, we will start with the San Antonio Spurs, who were fined heavily when Coach Respect Popavich decided to send home some of his biggest stars at the end of a very long road trip. When they were playing Miami on Wednesday night, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Danny Green were sent home on a plane. And they basically played the Heat with nothing but their reserves. And they still almost won. And immediately after finding this out, Stern issued a statement saying, "Oh, we gonna punish them severely. This is detrimental to the game." And I respect Popovich for having the balls to make the call. He's the only coach in the league who could pull off something like this and not have people after his job. The reason the Spurs are the deepest team in the league is because they have a coach who runs a system that uses the strengths of whatever player happens to be on the floor. And let's be completely honest about this. If he had done this on any other night, no one would give a fuck. The outrage is only because it was a nationally televised game against the defending champions on a night where the only other teams playing were Golden State and Denver. And Stern's trying to say that, and they still put up a good fight. And Stern's trying to say that, well, no, they're destroying the integrity of the game. Well, in that case, why not fine the Los Angeles Lakers for not playing Steve Nash? I don't care if he's injured. We want to see him out there dishing and busting threes. I mean, they're destroying the integrity of the game. We want to see him playing. Anyways, on to some other news. Rajon Rando was on a hot streak. He'd had about 40 consecutive games with 10 or more assists. But he was approaching Magic Johnson's record of I think 45, but he did not reach it because he got in a fight in the game against Brooklyn and was ejected. And so that streak comes to an end, and he was then suspended for 2 more games after that. And you know what? I believe the NBA should fine Doc Rivers. I mean, how dare he let Rondo get suspended? I mean, that destroys the integrity of the game. They were a much better team when Rondo was playing. Anyways, the Wizards, they finally won their first game and are now 1-13 on the year. The Heat and Thunder are on winning streaks with 5 and 6 wins respectively. To be fair, though, there was the whole issue with the Spurs not playing their stars against Miami, and Miami still barely pulled out the win. Brooklyn won the Battle of the Boroughs when they faced off against New York and have established themselves as a legitimate threat. The Warriors have been going strong lately and find themselves at 10-8, which is a much better record than the Lakers, who are currently 8-9 after getting bounced by Dwight Howard's forward team, the Magic, last night. And on to a few milestones that have been broken. Dwight Howard becomes 49th all-time in career offensive rebounds. Manu Ginobili got his 1,000th career steal. Jason Kidd did not reach 9th overall in games played because he got injured and he's missed some time. Some milestones that people could potentially be reaching this week. Tim Duncan only needs 15 defensive rebounds to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for 6th all-time. Sean Merriman is 8 career rebounds behind Larry Bird for 45th overall. Paul Pierce needs 10 more assists to reach 4,000 for his career. Sean Marion is 5 steals behind Terry Porter for 26th all-time. Ron Artest is 9 steals behind Marion. Dwight Howard is 1 block behind Clifford Robinson for 38th all-time. And Sean Marion is 4 blocks behind Charles Jones for 59th overall. And a few games that I'm looking forward to in this coming week. First of all, on Tuesday, we've got a flurry of games that you could watch. We have the Thunder at the Nets. The Nets have played surprisingly well this season, while I keep hearing talk about how much worse the Thunder are than last year, which makes very little sense because they've only have 4 losses on the season. Either way, this should be an intense matchup between 2 very athletic clubs. Then you have the Pacers at the Bulls, 2 Central Division teams who have had a disappointing start to their season and look to get back on track. And you have the Lakers at the Rockets, two teams who made big offseason moves and are trying to get on a winning streak so they can be back into the playoff conversation. And then on Thursday night, you've got the Knicks at the Heat. New York and Miami face off again in what should be an exciting showdown. And on Friday, we've got the Nuggets at the Pacers, two talented teams that were in the playoffs last year but have struggled to get themselves established this season. You also have the Warriors at the Nets, two teams with plenty of talent who have played surprisingly well this early in the season. And you also have the Rockets at the Spurs. Last season, Harden was part of the Thunder trio that stomped the Spurs in the playoffs. And it'll be interesting to see how Lin and Harden match up against the best in the state of Texas in this huge Texas bet showdown. And you've also got the Lakers at the Thunder. Many people will want to build this as the Western Conference Finals preview. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but it will be an interesting matchup between some of the best in the game. Durant and Kobe, two of the top scorers in the league right now. And then on Saturday, we've got the Hawks at the Grizzlies, two physical teams who play with a lot of grit, and that's going to be a battle. And you've also got the Mavericks at the Rockets. A day after visiting San Antonio, Houston hosts Dallas for the first time in the Harden era. You like that? Harden and Lin, I combine them together, Harden. Get it trending on Twitter, hashtag Harden. I don't care, I'm not even on Twitter. Anyways, that's it for NBA Weekly. Tune in for another edition next week. Tune in tomorrow for reflections from the NFL Week 13. Until then, I am your host, Nathan Lyle. I hope you have a happy Monday.